Hey guys, welcome to lecture number 14 of the class Python for Beginners, and today is our second class in the class of cool things about Python. Let's start with the char and or commands. What do these do? Well, you might or might not be knowing that any alphabet or any character per se, any number per se, is stored in a binary form in your computer's memory. For example, the number 5 has a binary representation 101. So these bits, 3 bits, this information is stored in 3 different bits, having the values 1, 0 and 1. Now, characters like the character A has a Unicode or value of 97. That means that if the computer wants to store a character A, it translates the value A to 97, takes a binary representation of 97 and then stores it in your computer. So the char command, if you pass it 97, it will give you the character A. If you pass it 100, it will give you D. 97, 98, 99, 100, A, B, C and D. The OR command is exactly the opposite. If you pass the character A to OR, you will get 97, or what is the representation of character number A. The next command is the ID command. So, do you remember we compared two different objects, their references, by saying something like if x is y? Here's another way to do it. Let's say you declare a variable a equals to 5 and x equals to 5. Since they are both immutable, Python will try to optimize it and point both a and x to the same object. How can you be sure about this? First you can do is a is x true. Second, you can do something like id x is equal to id of a, which is also true. Separately, id of a is 35706992. So this id, which is an integer, is guaranteed to be unique and constant for this object during its lifetime. Now we come to the list command. So the list command takes an iterable object and converts it into a list. It returns a list whose items are the same and in the same order as the iterable's items. The iterable may either be a sequence. If the iterable is already a list, if the iterable is already a list, a copy is made and returned. For example, let's say you apply the list command on this particular string, and what do you get? You get the list of 3 elements a, b and c. Similarly, if you can apply this command on the tuple having the values 1, 2 and 3, and what you get is the list with numbers 1, 2 and 3. So if no argument is given, it returns an empty list. Alright, so the next thing we're going to learn today is the tuple command. Similar to a list command, it just returns a tuple or a tuple instead of a list. For example, tuple applied on the string a, b, c is the tuple a, b and c. Similarly, tuple applied to the list having the elements 1, 2 and 3 is another tuple with the elements 1, 2 and 3. Now let's come to the reverse command. The reverse command returns an iterable object. Again, it takes an iterable object and returns the reverse object of that. Reverse object, I mean an object with elements in the reverse order as compared to the original iterable. For example, let's say you say So let's apply reverse on the list 1, 2 and 3. Now this returns a iterator object. For iterator objects, if you want to convert it to a list, you apply the iterator object and apply the list command on it. For example, you can say that I want to apply the list on the reverse of 1, 2 and 3, and voila, you get the reverse list 3, 2 and 1. So the next command today we're going to learn is the map command. So map command maps a function to an iterable, or what it does is, it's better to see this with the help of an example, and let's just open a new file to show you what I mean. La la la, this is 14. Okay, let's write a function that takes an input x and returns the square of x. The map command, I want to apply this function. Map command says that I want to apply this function on a particular given sequence, and I want to map this sequence with this function, which interprets to applying the function on each of the elements of the sequence. So let's say I want to print this, and you get 149. Your original list had the elements 1, 2 and 3. So you apply the function on each of the elements of this list. What your function does is takes an element and does the square of it. So function is applied on 1 first, and it gives you 1. Then it applies the function on second element, which is 2, then on the third element, which is 3. In another example, let's say you want to apply some function on the sequence A, B and C. And what this function is, it takes an element and concatenates the element with itself. And we have A, B, B and C, C. Okay. The next thing we're going to learn today is the sorted command. Sorted command basically sorts the iterable. It returns a new sorted list from the elements in an iterable. For example, sorted applied on A, B and C, or rather C, A, B, gives you the list A, B and C. A sorted list form composed of the elements of the sequence C, A, B. Another example is, you want to apply sorted on the list 1, 4, 2 and 6. What you get is the list 1, 2, 4 and 6. Sorted also takes an optional reverse command. So if you want to reverse sort the given list, let's say you want to reverse sort the given list 1, 2, 4 and 6, you just say that I want reverse is equal to true, and now it's reverse ordered. The next command is the sum command. Sum command takes an iterable and sums the elements of the particular sequence which is provided as input to the sum function. For example, this list, I want to sum the elements of the list 1, 4, 6, and this is 11. 1 plus 4 plus 6 is 11. Now we come to a slightly more complicated command, which is the zip command. So the zip command makes an iterator that aggregates elements from each of the iterables. What does that mean? Let's say you have two different iterable lists. First list has the elements 1, 2, 3 and 4. The second list Y has elements A, B, C and D. Alright, now you say z is equal to the zip of x and y. Now if you try to print z, what you will see is a list of tuples where each tuple is a pair of terms corresponding from both the lists that has been borrowed from both the lists, or corresponding terms borrowed from both the lists, like the 0th term from both the lists. The 0th tuple is the pair of 0th elements from both the lists, and so on. Now you can iterate over them as well. For example, you can say for I and j in zip x and y, is want to print I and j. This is 1a, 2b, 3c and 4d. Basically you want to iterate over both the lists at once. You use a zip command. The next function is the eval function. So the eval function takes an expression in the form of a string and evaluates it. Let's say you declare a variable x is equal to 3 and you evaluate the expression provided in strings x whole squared plus 5. This is evaluated to 14. So x is 3. This expression x is replaced with 3. 3 whole squared is 9 plus 5 is 14. So basically you can take an input expression from the user. Whenever you take input from the user, it is in the form of a string. So you can take the expression in the form of a string and apply the eval function directly without you having to break down the input and interpreting it. The eval will do that job for you. Interpret the expression in its mathematical form and calculate its value. So now coming to the last function in today's class, it's the filter function. So filter function constructs an iterator from those elements of the iterable for which the function returns true. For example, let's put this in triple quotes. Okay, let's write another function. def1 x, it returns x ampersand 2 is equal to 0. So it's a boolean function that returns whether x is divisible by 2 or not. If it is divisible by 2, it returns a true, else it returns a false. So now you'll see the power of the filter function. So you say first argument is the function, the boolean function, and now you apply it on a list. And how I want to apply it on a list of elements from 0 to 9, or these 10 elements. So I'll just use my list comprehension to generate this list in a single line. So x for x in range 10, and this is my list. So I have generated the list of these 10 elements, and now the filter function will only generate a list for elements in this list where the function on the particular element returns a true. So in this list of 10 elements, each element function will be applied on each of the elements, and if the function returns a true, this element will now be appended to a new list which will be returned later. So I want to print the filter, print the output of the filter, or let's say you want to assign it z is the new list which you want, and now you print z, and 02468 is what we get. You can now compare how the map and the filter commands were used to generate the same kind of output. So guys, this is it. sort of a logical we come to a sort of a logical end to learning Python. We'll now advance to object-oriented programming and learn the concept of classes and objects and how you can incorporate them into your code. I hope you had fun learning these really cool things, these really cool commands in Python. There's a whole hell lot of Python documentation available on these things. So if ever you want to go into the depth or you want to learn these on your own, you can go to the official Python documentation. The link has been provided on the course web page. Guys, hang around, take care, and keep up the good work.